Hello guys, I'm Yadagiri Reddy and welcome to my channel hyrtutorials. In this video, I'll explain about one of the important topics in test automation, that is reporting. So we all knew that reporting is a very important thing to any test automation framework, right? Either it is a Java based or .NET based or Python based or JavaScript based or any other language based. Or if you want to go with the names of the tools and names of the frameworks, like either it is a JUnit or testng or Cucumber or Cypress or Protractor or Playwright. Or either you want to go with the model names like test driven framework or keyword driven framework or data driven framework or hybrid driven framework. So in any of these frameworks, the reporting is a very important thing, guys. So if you want to know why reporting is so important and so useful, please go and watch my previous videos. I have clearly explained these points, guys, like why reporting is so useful and why screenshots capturing is so useful and why logging is mandatory. So all these things I have clearly explained in my previous video already. So please go and watch my previous video to get a clear understanding on these points. If you are directly coming to this video without watching those points and without learning those points, then you are making a big mistake. Why? Because in this video, I'm going to show you how to implement the report. But if you don't know the basics of the reporting, like why reporting is required and why to attach the screenshots, why logging is required, all those points, then it is a big mistake only. Correct? Do you agree or not? So don't perform that mistake, guys. Don't do that mistake. Okay? So first go and watch my previous videos and then come back to this video. Then you will get a clear understanding on this topic also. Fine? So reporting is a very important thing. So let me tell you one thing, guys. So even though if you have developed extremely good or extremely beautiful framework, and if you don't implement the reporting in it, it is just a scrap. Or we can call it as a very bad framework also. Fine? So you might be thinking like, sir, just because of the reporting lagging, why you are calling the extremely beautiful framework as a very bad framework or scrap? You are thinking maybe like that, right? So let me make you understandable in a easy terms, guys. Okay? So I'll tell you why I'm calling it as a scrap. Let me make you understandable in a easy terms. So I'll just rephrase my words. So if you are not implementing the reporting in any framework, then we are not going to call it as a framework itself. Forget about the extremely good, extremely beautiful conditions here. But if you are not actually implementing the reporting in any framework, we are not going to call it as a framework itself. You got it? Why? Because whenever we are developing any framework, either it is on top of JUnit or on top of testng or on top of Cypress or anything, whenever you are creating any framework, you need to keep few things in mind. So there are some factors that you need to consider while you are creating any framework or while you are developing any framework. Those are object repository, test data, and your framework configuration, and code reusability and reporting. So these are the 5 components that you need to always remember when you are developing any framework, guys. So there are so many other components also, but these are like basic and the key factors. Okay. So these are like most important factors that you need to consider while creating any framework or while developing any framework. Fine. Object repository means how you are storing your page object elements like HTML elements information. And test data maintenance means how you are storing the test data. Is it in the form of XML or JSON or database or Excel? And the configuration means how easily you can configure your framework and how easily you can configure your application information into the framework to run the test, right? And code reusability means how you are maintaining the code reusability. Is it in the form of a block or any wrapper classes or any reusable functions? So how exactly you are maintaining it? And then reporting. So out of all these 5 also, reporting is like a heart of the framework, guys. Okay. So reporting is a very important factor that you need to consider while developing or creating any framework. So if you are missing any of these key factors, then I'll call that framework as a scrap or I'll call it as an incomplete framework, right? So if you say that it is completed the development, I mean that means if the framework development is completed, if you are saying so, and if any of these key factors are missing, then I will call it as a scrap only. So maybe you are calling it as a framework, but I will not call it as a framework. I'll just call it as a scrap because if you are missing any of the key factors, then it is not actually a framework itself. In the automation, there are some rules and guidelines, and there are some key factors that you need to remember them. And if you are forgetting any of those things, then it is not a framework. You got my point? So that is why I'm saying that even though if you have developed a beautiful and extremely good framework also, and if you are missing the reporting part, I will not consider that as a framework itself. Fine? So if you are thinking like, sir, okay, reporting is a very good thing and we understand the importance of the reporting also. And if the reporting is so important, why these tools or frameworks are not developing the reporting by default? That means, for example, if you take JUnit or testng, you might be thinking like, why testng is not giving the default reportings? Why we need to implement the reporting externally? Why can't the testng itself directly reproduce the reports? So that is what you might be thinking, right? So this question comes to many people, guys. Okay, because whenever we say that reporting is a very, very important feature, so many people will think like, okay, if the reporting is so important, why these tools or frameworks are not directly producing the reports? So that is what so many people will think. So the answer is, some of the tools are producing the reports directly and some of the tools are not producing the reports directly, guys. So if you look at the Cypress will generate the report, but it will only there in the test runner itself. But it will not directly generate any HTML file kind of thing, basically. Fine. But if you look at the testng or JUnit, it will generate that report. Even though if you don't mention, it will generate the report by default. So even in our previous video also we have seen, right, how to see the default reports and what is there in the default reports. All those things we have seen. Correct? So if you recollect the information, or if you just go back to my previous video and watch my previous video, you will get to know. Testng will by default generate the report. Even though if you don't mention anywhere to generate the report, testng will by default generate the report for you. And even the JUnit also. Even though if you don't mention anywhere, it will automatically generate the report for you. But why we are going for external reporting then? If it is already generating the reports by default, why we are going for external reports? The reason is, the default generated reports are not so beautiful and they are not so user friendly also. And they will not give you all the user related informations. I mean, all the user required informations, not related information, all the user required information. So that is the only reason we are going to implement the external reporting. Okay. The default reports are there, but they are not beautifully developed. Or maybe they are not giving all the required information to the user. Okay. And maybe they are not having all the beautiful features, excellent features. So that is why we are going to go with the external reporting. So when I say external reporting, it is not always the third-party libraries only, guys. So some of the people actually develop the reporting itself. That means they develop directly the HTML template and they use the testng listeners and annotations to implement the report. Okay, they will not use any third-party libraries. Even when you are working in the real time, right? Some of the banking projects or insurance project does not allow you to use any third-party reporting libraries. So in those scenarios, you have to implement the reporting on your own. That means you have to first design some reporting. So just first draw something and like how you want the reporting and all. Then discuss with your management and then come with the final report. And then first design the HTML template for that. And whenever your execution is completed, it has to generate the report based on the template. That kind of configuration and all you have to do. So that kind of development also you have to perform. Okay. So there are some people and there are some frameworks which actually does that. Fine. But whereas in the other hand, some people don't go for all these things because it is actually time consuming thing and you have to spend lot of efforts on implementing the features, guys. So instead of that, if you go for third-party libraries already available, then it is easy, right? So these third-party libraries are actually focusing mainly on the reporting stuff only. So obviously they will be beautiful and they will provide lot of features to you. Correct? So unlike these tools like testng and JUnit, these are actually developed for different purpose, not for producing the reports only, right? Their main purpose is different. But as an added advantage or added feature, they are developing the reports also. They are producing the reports also. Their main motto is different. So that is why those reports are not looking so good. But these third-party libraries' main motto is to develop the beautiful reports with lot of features, guys. So that is why these third-party libraries are always best, I can say. Okay. So out of all the third-party libraries also, there are two third-party libraries which are very famous and widely used in the test automation industry. Those are Extent Reports and Allure Reports. The Extent Reports and Allure Reports are open source reports only, and there are some pro versions also available in these things, but these are the widely used reports in the market today. Fine. There are some other reports also. Okay. Don't say that these are the reports available apart from these Extent Reports and Allure Reports. There are some other reports also, but these two are the most widely used reports and easily understandable reports, guys. Okay. So that is why we are going to learn these things in this course, guys. If the time permits, I'll also try to create a separate course for Allure Reports, but I'm not giving any promises on that. Only if the time permits, I'll try to create a separate course for Allure Reports also. Fine. Because Allure Reports is also one of the very good libraries available for reporting. So if the time permits, I'll make sure that Allure Reports course is also available for you guys. Fine. So in this course, we are mainly focusing on the Extent Reports for Java language. So we all knew that Extent Reports is available for Java and .NET languages also, right? So for those of you who don't know, please remember this point, guys. Extent Reports library is available for Java and .NET languages also. Fine. So this is the agenda for this course, guys. First, we will see what is the Extent Report. That means what exactly is the Extent Report and how the Extent Report looks like. And then we will understand why we should choose the Extent Reports over the default reports that are generated by testng or JUnit. Okay. And then once we understand like why we need to go for the Extent Reports, we know the importance of the Extent Reports and why we need to go, right? Then we will see how to download and set up the Extent Report libraries in our projects. And then we will create a basic Extent Report. We are not going to implement a lot of features into that, but we will create a basic Extent Report and we will try to see. And then understand the log levels in the Extent Reports. So whenever you are creating any report, you are going to log some information to the report, right? So whenever you are logging the information, there are some levels. Those are called as log levels. So we are going to understand what are those log levels and what is the priority of the log levels and all those things. And then log different type of information to the Extent Reports. We are not going to always log the text information only, right? Sometimes we want to log the JSON data, or sometimes we want to log the XML file data, right? So whenever you are working with any API, maybe you are getting some response, right? Maybe you are sending some request and you are getting some response. So this may be in the form of a JSON or XML. Mostly it will be in the form of a JSON only because XML is like old format. So most of the APIs now uses the JSON only, but you can actually use the XML also. So if you want to display that information also into the report, how you are going to do that? So that also we will see. And then attach screenshots to the Extent Report. So whenever there is a test failure or something, we are going to capture the screenshots, right? But if you attach the screenshots to the log, then it is good. If you are just keeping the screenshots in the local, it is hard to identify, right? But if you are attaching the screenshots to the report for directly test, then it is very easy to understand like why the test is failed, and it is very easy to understand and analyze the test failure also, right? So that also we will see. And then this is the agenda again. Okay. So the agenda is continued, guys. The agenda itself 2 pages basically here. Okay. So next we are going to see different attributes available for a test in Extent Reports. Like whenever you are creating Extent Reports, in that we will have multiple test information, right? So what are the different attributes available for those tests? And then Extent Report configuration using Java, JSON and XML. So there are so many people who are asking, guys, like, sir, I want to create the Extent Report, but I want to change the configuration of the Extent Report using the JSON file or maybe the XML file or maybe only within the Java. So I'm going to show you all the things here, guys. Okay. And then generate the Extent Report only for the failed or skipped or passed test. So there might be a requirement where you want to generate multiple reports. Let's say one report with all the test case information like failed, passed, skipped, all the information, and one report only for the failed things. Maybe you want to analyze the failures so that you want to have a separate report for the failed things, right? So how do you generate the multiple reports and how do you generate the report only for the failed test? So those things also we will try to learn. And then add the system or environment information to the report. Sometimes what happens, I want to add the environment information, like on what environment I am running my test, like what is my base URL and what is my browser version. All those informations I want to add to the report also, right? So how do I add that information? And then remove or change the order of the tabs in extent report. So in the extent reports, there will be multiple tabs. So if you want to just remove any tab, or if you want to change the order of the tabs, how you are going to do that? That also we will see. And then shortcuts in the extent reports. So for improving the productivity, whenever you open the extent reports, there are some shortcuts. Like when you press L, it will change the theme. Or when you press P, it will just only show you the past test cases. Like that, there are some shortcuts. Okay. So I will show you all the shortcuts that are available in the extent reports also. And then integration of extent reports with testng. That means how you can integrate the extent reports with testng framework. So I'm going to cover all these points in this course, guys. So by the agenda itself, you can understand how many points are there, right? So if I make a single video out of all these points, then the length of the video will be like 3 to 5 hours. So definitely people will get bored. So that is the reason I'm trying to split this video into multiple parts. So if I make a single video of 5 hours, even the Hollywood movie also will not be that much, right? Even if you combine 2 Hollywood movies also, it will not be that much lengthy. So people will definitely get bored and nobody will watch the entire concept and nobody will understand the entire extent reports concept also. So I don't want that to happen. So that is the reason I'm trying to split this video into multiple parts. So whatever the points that you are seeing in this agenda, I'll try to convert each point into one video, guys, so that I can explain about that point very clearly and you can understand the point very clearly without getting bored, right? So one more important thing, guys, if you like the video, please hit the like button and also share this video with your friends. If you don't like the video, please hit the dislike button, or maybe you can mention in the comment sections also. But don't think like, why should I like the video, guys? It won't cost you anything and it is just a 2 seconds job, fine? But the 2 seconds job will make the creator so happy. When you like the video or when you provide the feedback on the video, the creator will get so much motivation. So please hit the like button. If you don't like the video really, please hit the dislike button, fine? So yeah, that is for this video, guys. I will see you in the next video.